Today I'll be continuing with my schedule discussion and point spread prediction videos. Today I'll be doing California. California is a school that obviously does not seem to care much about football, and that's fine. There's other things to focus on than football, but on my channel, it's all about football. The University of California, Berkeley, is not going to be getting much attention on my channel because California is one of the top states for high school football talent, and California doesn't even seem to try to get any of those good players to come over there. They almost always have a bad team. They haven't had a winning record since 2019. Last year they did surprise winning 6 games and getting to a bowl game, but then they lost by a blowout to Texas Tech in the bowl game. There's really just not a whole lot to get excited about if you do like California's football team. Uh, mm, and They are moving to the ACC this year, and the ACC is already terrible, so they'll fit right in with that. But they don't fit in with the location. Uh, but like with Stanford, it's on the whole other side of the country as the ACC. Uh, so on this schedule, in the non-conference, they get 2 games that should be pretty easy wins. UC Davis and San Diego State. San Diego State could be kind of tough. It'll be tougher than UC Davis. UC Davis is an FCS team. They should be able to blow them out. But San Diego State, that one may not be a blowout. And also in the non-conference, they have on the road at Auburn. Uh, they played last year, and Auburn won the game. It was very low scoring. The final score was 14-10. Um, and uh, mm, I do question how well Auburn is going to be able to throw the football this year. Uh, they were one of the worst passing teams in the country last year. But that doesn't mean that I'm doubting that they can beat California. I do think that Auburn will beat California fairly easily this time. Uh, mm, and Auburn is still going to be one of the best rushing teams in the country, and they should still be solid on defense. And they're a much better coach team than California is. And that doubting of their passing game really just makes me doubt that they can be one of the top teams of the SEC. Uh, but Auburn, I think, is going to be able to throw the ball a little better than last year when they still beat California because they did make some nice additions at wide receiver in the portal. They still, though, just don't have a very good quarterback. And then also in the non-conference, they have Oregon State, which last year, was a conference game. They get them at home. That's one maybe Cal could get this time because of all the changes at Oregon State. And they do get that game at home, even though Cal has no home field advantage. So they start their ACC schedule on the road at Florida State, a horrible way to start their time in the ACC. That may be the ACC's best team again this year. There's really no chance for California in this game. I don't think it's going to be close at all. Florida State is loaded up with transfers again. Uh, and then Miami they play at home after a week off, and I'm higher on Miami now than I was before the spring. They have loaded up in the transfer portal. They made a few new, really good additions this spring in the portal, and they've recruited so well these past couple of years. And I think they finally put it together this year. And mm, uh, I don't think they're going to be losing to teams like California this year. And then on the road at Pittsburgh. So this is one that would have been nice for Cal to get at home because uh, Pittsburgh was worse than California last year. They only won, I think, 3 games, but usually Pittsburgh has been one of the more solid teams in the ACC. And then NC State, not that much of a chance here. Uh, NC State always seems to have a pretty good defense, and they've made some nice additions on offense in the transfer portal. Uh, so they should be improved on that side of the ball from a team that won 9 games last year. And then next in the conference, they play on the road at Wake Forest. After taking a week off, they'll play them on Friday, probably a Friday night. Uh, I guess that's a good time to take a week off. Wake Forest is similar to Pittsburgh in the way that they were awful last year, but they're usually a solid team in the ACC. And it would have been good to have gotten at least one of Pittsburgh and Wake Forest at home. Uh, and really, just so they don't have to travel across the country. Because even though Cal has no real like home field advantage, they're going to have to travel so far to play these teams from the ACC. Uh, and then Syracuse. That's one maybe California could get. Syracuse was terrible last year, like they usually are. They weren't really, I don't think, any better than California, but Syracuse did pick up a good quarterback that California never has. And Stanford after that. That's one that I would pick Cal in if I was going to do a prediction right now. Stanford is worse, I think, and they get that one at home. Um, and then on the road at SMU, SMU is a new team also to the ACC. Of course, they're coming from the group of five, uh, but SMU's roster is already, I think, better than California's, probably by quite a bit. Uh, I don't really see California winning that one. They might, but I doubt it. So good news is in their first year in the ACC, they did avoid Clemson and Louisville and also Virginia Tech. Those 3 teams and Florida State uh, and Miami and NC State, I think, will be the teams that uh, compete for the ACC championship this year. So now I'll move on to the point spread prediction. So, games in the green are games where I think California will be favored by a blowout, which that is 20 or more points, and there's one of those UC Davis. Games in the blue are games where I think Cal will be favored by double digits, which that's 10 to 19 points, and there's one of those at San Diego State. Uh, and Games in the pink are games where I think they'll be favored by about a field goal, 1 to 5 points, and there's 3 of those: Oregon State, Syracuse, and Stanford. And games in the gray are games where I think Cal will be an underdog by about a field goal. So that would be a 1 to 5 point spread, and there's 2 of those: Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. And games in the yellow are games where I think California will be an underdog by about a touchdown, 6 to 9 points, and there are four of those: Auburn, Miami, NC State, and SMU. Um, and games in the orange are games where I think Cal will be a double-digit underdog, uh, but not a blowout underdog. So that'll be a 10 to 19 point spread. So UC Davis, they should be favored in that one by like 40 points. And San Diego State, they should be favored by over 10, but I don't really see that being close to 20. Maybe more like 14. Uh, and Oregon State, I think Cal will probably be favored by around 3 because it's a home game. I think they'd be an underdog at Oregon State. And then uh, Syracuse, I think Cal will probably be favored by a point or two because they get that game at home, but they'd be an underdog, I'm pretty sure, on the road. And then Stanford, I think Cal will be favored by about 5 in that game. Uh, and Pittsburgh, I think they'll be the favorite in that one by a couple of points, 2 or 3 probably. And then the same for uh, uh, Wake Forest. And Cal, though, I think would probably be a small favorite in both of those at home. Uh, and then Auburn, I think they'll be favored by 8 points probably uh, over Cal. And Miami, I think uh, that will be about a 7 point spread. And then the spread will probably be about 7 with NC State. And then SMU, it'll probably be about 6 points. I think that would be a great game if it was a home game. Uh, and Florida State, I think Cal will be an underdog by around 2 touchdowns, probably like 14 points in that game. So they will have to pull at least one upset to get to a bowl game again, probably two or more. Because I don't see them beating all of Oregon State, Syracuse, and Stanford. So that will be it with this video. Please subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching, and I'll be back very soon.